it was a presidential dinner, and they needed an orchestra, and so a lot of the players were out of the country. And so they were like, we're scrapping for players, and need somebody. So I was like, I know this very talented young boy that is so serious. He tries, and he's stubborn.
You're competitive.
Yeah.
We were just hanging out playing ping pong. I am, yeah. And I didn't have my paddle.
you did good though.
I did okay, but I'm trying to get you back. You're competitive.
I am. Before it needs to be like, but in a positive way, yes. Like, no, once you tell me I can't do something, or
see, that's where I'm gonna go. That's where I'm gonna go.
I'm like,
I think it's in a positive way, but I think it also is a little bit negative. When I say negative, meaning that you're not going to let anybody, just from my assessment of you, that you're not going to let anybody not let you accomplish what you want to accomplish.
No, you're right.
But you still didn't tell me. There had to be somebody. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story. Quick story. Yeah. Yeah. It's not the best.
Where you play from? Oh, I was looking at my phone.
So listen. So the purpose, I'm gonna tell you now. First of all, thanks for coming. Right, I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
You're coming from Houston, but it's still, I know how busy you are. I know how busy you are, and I know we have a relationship through Vituity Cares. We'll talk about that, but. So the podcast, to give you an example of what the podcast is about. So I'm a CEO, okay, of a $2.2 billion company. Vituity's that big. I'm not supposed to be a CEO. Like, I'm not, right? I mean, if you think of the way, we'll talk about the way you grew up, the way I grew up. I mean, we've overachieved, really, right? But when I was the job came up to be a CEO, and I was one of the candidates, and somebody told me, you have less than 1% chance of being the CEO. And so that's why the podcast is called Less Than 1%, because they didn't believe that I could do it. And once I heard that less than 1% chance, you know how you get, right? Yeah. That chip on your shoulder. You're never going to let anybody say that you can't do something. So that's really the purpose of the podcast. The podcast, I'm bringing people on here, right? Bringing you on here. When I first met you online, I was like, he's a less than 1%er. He has it. Like, you know how hard it is to go into that industry, first of all, to go into it. And as a creative, you're creating something you love, right? I mean, you're trying to please the people, but at the end of the day, you're creating something you love. And so for us, having you on the show is amazing. Jordan, myself, just thankful to have you.
Thank you. And it means a lot.
We'll talk about what makes you you. Yeah. All right. So Jordan, I'm gonna lean on you because you're the musician. But I mean, I'll let the audience know. So you're a violinist. That's why you have the violin there. But you also play multiple instruments. Okay. So what else do you play?
I'm a singer, songwriter. I play my voice. I'm an Afro pop singer. I'm a music producer. I'm a guitarist, drummer, percussionist. The keyboard. I play ukulele, mandolin, all that whole stuff. And I started my journey on horns right now.
Wait. Before we go on, wait.
Don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody about this part.
Okay.
Don't tell nobody. Okay. I'm telling you though. I started my journey on horns right now.
What do you mean starting your journey? You played horns before?
No, I just started. I've spent like 102 hours on the saxophone right now.
Wow.
1 or 2 hours on the saxophone, and I can pretty much play over 30 songs. Well, on the saxophone.
Wait, did you say you started your musical journey?
No. You just started.
Oh, you're starting your journey
on horns now.
Okay.
And actually, I brought out the saxophone 2 CDs during my tour last year, and everybody was wild. but I played like a particular. I played a solo of "Can We Talk," the bridge.
Wow.
It's not something I've posted on social media yet because I'm saving it. You guys are the first person to know that.
Yeah, so we'll wait till you post it. So we can't publish.
You can publish it.
We publish the podcast after.
You can publish it. You can publish it. They are still not gonna hear me play until I'm ready. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's something I wanted to like just challenge myself to do. So when we first met, you didn't have, and now I have to say, I appreciate you because, you know, when I met you, you weren't as popular, and now you're popular and you still maintain the relationship, and that means a lot. That means a lot to me. Vituity Cares. I mean, you know, you still stick with us, and that means so much because. We're locked in, bro.
Yeah,
we're locked in. You know,
yeah. No, but it's
for life. You know what I'm saying?
But that level of commitment to people, you don't see that, especially in this industry, in medicine too. I think that commitment is wild. But we want to go back to this journey. How did you start? Like, I mean, music's in your soul. You start and playing the instrument, and you have 102 hours. You're already playing songs. Tell me a little bit about the musical history.
Okay, so I've always loved music growing up. I always would tell my mom, you know, my dad, and like, oh, I love Michael Jackson, I love James Brown, you know, I like Fela, I like Sonny Ade, I like musicians who, I mean, not just musicians, artists who are very charismatic on stage. I always loved to be at 3. I was already singing in school and taking over and dancing, and I'd always whatever. But I was also very smart on sciences. I was very good with sciences. So, well, you know how it is back home. It's like, oh, you're either a doctor or you're a lawyer or you're whatever. And listen, you're already having 100% every single time you're doing sciences, elementary science, health science. Right. You're great. I was that kid who was very strong on sciences and loved sciences. So music for me was more like part of my upbringing. And so my parents just felt like it was a hobby. Like, he's just skillful and talented, you know, in singing. I would compose songs out of the blues. And the first thing I was doing was singing and playing percussions. My dad taught me how to play conga. You know, I wanted a baby guitar. So he bought me all those plastic, you know, guitars just for fun, toys. And I would dress like, you know, I'll dress like any of our African legends. And I'll start singing and playing the guitar and dancing. And my mom and my brother, I tried to dress like Prince. And my mom was not really big on Prince because you know how Prince dresses. Yeah. Like, you know, and being an African, be like, yo, my son can't dress like this man. So she was like, she stopped me from watching anything Prince. I told my dad, this is not what my son is going to watch, you know, stuff like that. But I'd been big on being an artist myself. I started playing the violin when I was a teenager. That was the first time I picked up the violin. I started playing the violin when I went to a church that was not playing drums, was not playing anything. I was like, me and my brother, we used to play in our previous churches. We used to play percussions, and I was very good. He too was very good. So we play like, you know, the djembe, the conga. There's something we call agbamole. It's those, you know, those traditional drums. So we had like rhythm and all of that. So we used to enjoy this. To actually sometimes tell my dad, you know, like, yo, before my dad passed on, while we're young, I told my mom like, oh, can we have your sons come and play for us in our church that is in the local churches? You know, and that's how I actually, you know, was big in music. But my parents, both my dad and my mom, were huge music-loving parents. It was music 24/7. Dad was huge in jazz and classical music. My mom liked, you know, soft classical. My mom liked soft rock and roll. My mom liked Afrobeats. My mom liked reggae, dancehall. I got that from my mom. That was my mom, reggae, dancehall. Every CD she had it. Pop music. My dad was R&B, rap. So it was a combination of both of them. So we had, you know, radios that played different cassettes of radio. This one is playing in the room. This one is playing in the parlor. You know, like we call the living room here, sitting in the living room. But back home we call it room and parlor. So in the parlor there's a living room. My dad is playing whatever. My mom is playing in the room. So I would always go through the cassettes and check the lyrics and, you know, follow gospel songs, follow Celine Dion. Even before Celine Dion became a theme where we're growing up. Wow. She's always been a thing here. Yeah, but when we were growing up, we didn't know anything about Celine Dion at some point until we got to a certain age. Me, I was like putting my own friends on to Celine Dion.
So you can play that age. So you can play. I mean, jump, fast forward to now. Because of that upbringing, you play everything.
That's it. That's what influenced me being a multi-genre violinist. So, because when I picked up the violin and started teaching myself the violin, I wanted to play everything I've heard. And every form of music that I know, from jazz to classical to pop to dance, any radio song. I was always big on radio. So think anything. It's like, for me, all music sounds same to me. You know,
how long? So the thing I marvel at. So you hear a song right now. I play an original song. How long will it take you to be able to listen to that song and play it?
It depends on what style of, like, for example, if you play an original classical music. Yeah. You know, classical music is form and structure is very much different from a pop music. Yeah. It's also different from some kind of jazz music. Jazz music has turnarounds, you know, a little bit extensions and all of that. Yeah. You know, all of that whole extensions, even more blues, you know what I'm saying? Simpler form, I won't say simpler form of jazz, but a very much different style of that jazz actually, you know, became big from. Pop music has a different structure, and pop music is less complicated. Now, if you've played all these genre of music, so Afrobeat, which is African beats, pop, you know, rock and roll. Once I hear them once, I haven't played jazz music. For me, it doesn't happen to the rest of my friends. It doesn't happen to like the rest of musicians. But once I hear a song once, I can tell where it's going. Not just by the chords, but also by the melodic structure. Yeah. So just me listening to I can tell, okay, this is going to be the next few phrases. And sometimes on the spot, while you're playing the song, I can already predict the melodies and play. After just listening to like maybe 12 seconds or 10 seconds, I can just continue the song with you till the end. Because I already can tell after a few first and second turnarounds, it just happens. It's always been like that for me. Now, for popular music, any song you hear on radio, except I just really want to characterize it, like play
make
like
it your own.
Okay, I want to make it Demola now, and I want to play it and sing like the artist sang it, and give it more color and more of it. Then I take my time. But like play a song and be like, hear this song, and I listen to the song and play it. I'll play it right away.
Wow. When did you so when did you know? So I met you online, like we talked about, somewhere around 2020. Pandemic hit, and everybody was
on their phone.
Everybody's on their phone, and I saw you. I remember, downtown Houston, and I was like, this guy has it. So, but when did you know? See, because when did you know that, like, not just I'm a creative, because I'm a writer, right? So I've written my whole life. Okay, but there was a certain time where I wrote where I'm like, I actually am a writer. Like this is if somebody reads this, this is going to be good. When did you know that, like, you're like, okay, I'm a creative, I'm an artist, but I know that the world is going to vibe off this. When was that time?
It was when I started out as an artist, just before I started out as Demola the artist in 2016.
2016.
In 2015, I mean, all this while I had already known I was going to be an artist. I never told my parents, not told my mom that when I'm done with my grad school, I'm going to leave my PhD program. I'm going to focus on music and stuff. I didn't tell nobody.
Okay, we have to come back.
We're coming back. I'll come back to that. But I'd known that I was always going to do that. But knowing that I think I'm really dope, bro. Like, this is really what I'm born to do. There's a difference between wishing that, I think this is what I'm going to do. Right. But knowing within inside of you, like, in 2017, when I left my PhD program, I finished my master's, I was like, this is what I'm going to do till I die. That's a different kind of knowing.
That's a different kind of commitment.
And I was like, I'm going to leave. I'm an international student. I couldn't work. Yeah. I'm going to leave everything, and I'm going to make sure I talk this out until I can't
eat anymore. Until I can't.
This must be it for me. And that was it. In December 2017, I was like, yes. But before December 2017, in 2015/2016, I had that realization, that yes, I'm not just a dope violinist. I'm not just a dope musician. I have something different.
Wow.
That was when I realized, and that's when I started my social media in 2016. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and start my social media in 2016.
So I was late. I was late in 2020. You know, I was late.
Really? Oh, really? I was like, in 2016, I was like, yeah, I'm going to start my social media. Yeah. And then I started my social media, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, It was on Facebook.
Listen, you're brilliant. I've said that to you off mic. So, I mean, I told you my journey a little bit different, medical school, all that stuff. And, you learn a lot of technical skill. Mm-hmm. You walk into a room and tell somebody you're a doctor, they immediately feel like you have some kind of amazing intelligence. You're brilliant. You're brilliant. I mean, I think you could have gone into anything, and the level of energy and enthusiasm and talent that you have, you'd have been successful. I really believe that. I
appreciate that.
So you decide to leave a PhD program in a Nigerian family. I mean, I'm Jamaican, so I already know. I only had a few choices. So you leave, a Nigerian family. I mean, not leave the family. You leave your PhD program, and you decide to do something that in our cultures. Now, in our cultures, it's funny because, like in Jamaica,
it's a hobby.
Jamaica, I mean, dance hall is respected. Vibes just did a concert the other day.
Yeah, I was supposed to be there with him.
It was out of control.
Yes,
but when you go home and you tell somebody, listen, me a bad man, I go run dance hall. You know what I mean? And they say, no, you're not. No, you're not.
No.
You're going to go to school, sir.
You're going to go to school.
Yeah. So you're in a PhD program. I want to know who didn't believe in you. Who didn't believe in you, and then what did that do to you to motivate you, or did it slow you down?
Okay, so before I went fully in to this, I went in 2016. In 2015, I started up 2 bands. First band crashed. Continued with the second band. I've always played in orchestras and played with whatever, so I was always. Lead days, I had a lead string quartet. We're doing classical music and doing all jazz and all of that whole stuff back home. I traveled. That's how I even got to American music, being a solo violinist and all of that. But being an artist is different from being all of that. It's like a whole different level of risk and talent and even voicing and all of that whole stuff. And so when I started off with bands, my guys would not come, and they didn't believe. They were every single person in there, from the drummer to the keyboardist to, the bassist to, the hum. Everybody is top level talent. But the difference is they didn't believe in the dream that I shared with them. I would sit down and talk to them several times, but they wouldn't come for rehearsals because we're not making money from it. Right. And as one of I was the poorest among them because I was like just relocated to America. They've been here in America for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I was just trying to find my feet. So they didn't understand like the dream and whatever. So they didn't believe. I made a couple people be like, it's always been happening as a violinist, even from the beginning when I started playing the violin. But they'd be like, violin? What will violin do? Like, bro, go find something else. What we
play the sax.
Like, play sax. Yeah. Like, even with sax, where were you? And like, bro, what are you trying to... So when people ask me what my dream is, I don't tell them. Because once I open my mouth and I say it and they hear the passion and how big I'm saying, I want to shut down stadiums with this. I want to be doing concerts with this, solo, with my own band and all of that as an artist. They be like, they start trying to look for things to compare me to. And there's none to compare me to.
Because you're the original.
Because, I'm all, like, there's no...
You're one of one.
One of one. Like, no violinist from Africa says he's doing this and he sings and he does this and this is how he wants to do it. Do your own show in America as an immigrant. Like, bro, go sit your ass down. I first started, I did my first show listening in the club. I told my friends while we were in grad school, I was doing my master's then, I was like, please come watch me. I would call them. I was at the club with my current DJ now, but he was a DJ in the club. Then I would call them, please come and listen. I did covers, I would tell them, and all of them were like, I would beg them to come. They supported me, they liked me, but they were old. Imagine all your 7 people in the club at that point in time, because it was early hours of the club before the real club starts. So they were the ones who would come, leave home or leave school and be like, let's go support Demola. And I'll count them. I'll be at the door waiting for them. 6 of them will sit down. I'll play my song to only my friends.
Wow.
Those were the only ones and I would have to call. A couple of them, I have to call them and beg them, please come. Don't let this place be scanty, and all of that. Snapchat reminds me of those videos sometimes because I remember I was on Snapchat too. I posted a couple stuff. It was just empty club with lights and DJ like, where are your people?
So the only person at that point that believed in
what I was doing
dream was you.
Nobody.
Nobody.
Nobody. I mean, people would not tell you to your face, like, even your very close friends will not tell you, besides some people, nobody really saw it. Even when I was telling my mom that I'm focusing on music fully, she's like, for real? You left your PhD program? She's like, I hope it works out well. And she said, I'm going to pray for you, but don't forget to go back to your school.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, so was that, I guess the question is, so was that your motivation? You wanted to do something that was different from what everybody else was doing? Is that what kind of got you to pick up the violin? Because if you look at it, pop music, right? Violin's not a typical instrument in pop music, right? But what you're doing right now is just so, you know.
I would say, like, I never really wanted to play the violin. Let's even start with that.
Okay.
That's where I was going to go. My brother was playing piano in church, and we used to do everything. So if he's dating a girl or he likes a girl, I would like her friend or I would like her sister. You know, like we go out and we used to play soccer together. You know, if he gets into a fight, I'm supporting him. You know what I'm saying? So he was playing piano in church. He started playing piano in church, and he got so much, you know, big on playing classical music. And he wanted me to do stuff. And I didn't like classical music to perform like that because I listened to radio music. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, he's like, play the violin. I was like, if I take the violin to the hood, everyone is going to laugh at me.
Right.
Like, I'm going to lose my street cred, bro. Like, violin is nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry to say, I say it's for white people because it's not for us as Africans. It's not our thing, you know? And I'm like, it's for white people and it's for females. Like, if you're a guy in the hood, like, you grew up in the hood, like, you're picking up a violin, everybody's going to slap your head, like, and you make me lose my street cred. I rather want to play, like, drums and, you know, something that is close to our culture. So we got into an argument. And then my mom stepped in. My mom was like, okay, go to the church and settle with your brother. Just after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to church and I'm going to pick up the violin. So the church, the owner of the church, he went to London to study and all of that. So he had like church organ. He bought a lot of violins and studied.
Right.
It was not far from the hood. So I couldn't afford a violin to even be a hood boy, to be in a ghetto. So we would go to the church and use the church instrument to practice. And so I would go pretending to go practice and take my physics and chemistry and biology book because I was trying to get in college to study while my brother would be like, oh, he's there. And then over time, I saw people take the violin and they don't do anything with it and they go, I hate to waste my time. So I'm like, why are these people dropping this violin? What is there? So let me even see. And then I did like a little music class when I went my first time in grade 7. So I picked it up and I was trying to figure do, re, mi, fa, so like that. And tone, semitone. And that's how I was like, oh, I can play a scale. The moment I could play a scale, something sparked in me.
Something clicked, yeah.
Like, okay. And I had 100% in grade 7 in music.
Wow.
Grade 7 at the time. So my mom kept the book for me. So she started noticing that there was a change. Like I was eager to go to church. As opposed to before to go. She's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to the violin, whatever. She's like, are you really playing it? I'm like, Mommy, it's interesting right now. I think I'm finding something. I can play a couple stuff. She's like, okay, this is your note from your music, whatever, that you had 100%. Take it with you. So I would sit down with it and I learned the G major scale, 1 octave. I learned the A major scale, 1 octave.
By yourself.
I learned the E major scale, 1 octave. I learned the D major scale, 1 octave. And you know the songs, I didn't even want to play gospel song. I started trying to imitate songs on radio. That was how it started clicking in my head.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, if I can play 1 or 2 songs. And one thing about me is once I start something, if I really key on it, it's over. Like if I key on that stuff, I'm like, yeah. Right. So I was like, if I can do 1 and do 2, I want to do 5, I want to do 7, I want to do 10. So then I picked up the book. I was like, they always throw this book down. I pick up the book, I put it up, and I started trying to sight read. I've learned how to sight play before even learning how to sight read. To know what C is.
But that's you talk about Prince. That's like Prince.
Yeah. That's it. So I started learning all of that whole stuff, and then I got discovered by the mentor, one of my mentors who was teaching them there, and I would come once in a while, and he saw that this boy he's like, what? Play. And I was like, oh, I was a little cocky. So I was like, I can play this stuff that these people cannot play. So I played the whole book. And he gave me the second book. I played the second book, and he's like, I need to talk to you way behind. That was it. And that's how I got drafted into the National Orchestra from that small place. In 6 months, I got drafted into the National Orchestra because there was an opening. Guys traveled out of the country and they had a national, whatever they were supposed to play. They couldn't come back. The few ones that were around went for bigger pay. So the other guy who was paying like a smaller pay needed young people. So I was one of the only 2 guys that were drafted in. Me and the other guy, he stopped playing the music. He's focused on something else now. And we drafted into the orchestra. And that was a life-turning moment for me. The first time I ever played outside, even played in church, outside, whatever, was playing for the president of my country.
So the first time anybody even knew you could play, really, I mean, on an outside scale,
was playing for the president of my country. It was a presidential dinner, and they needed an orchestra, and so a lot of the players were out of the country, and so they were like, "Oh, we're scrapping for players." And somebody, and so I was like, "I know this very talented young boy that is so serious. He tries, and he's stubborn."
You're competitive.
Yeah.
We were just hanging out playing ping pong.
Yeah, so I am, yeah.
And I didn't have my paddle.
you did good though.
I did okay, but I'm trying to get you back. But you're competitive.
I am. Before it needs to be like, but in a positive way, yes. Like
no,
once you tell me I can't do something, or
see, that's where I'm going to go. That's where I'm going to go.
I'm like,
I think it's in a positive way, but I think it also is a little bit negative. When I say negative. Mm-hmm. Meaning that you're not going to let anybody, just from my assessment of you, that you're not going to let anybody not let you accomplish what you want to accomplish.
No, you're right.
But you still didn't tell me. There had to be somebody. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story, quick story.
There has to be somebody that...
Right, so I'm going to tell you a quick story, and then you'll understand. So I was, what, Jordan, don't tell him. You maybe don't even know. Do you know what instrument you have to name my first instrument and my second instrument. Just my first.
Drums and sax.
Drums is my third.
Okay.
Really, that's usually the first for everybody.
No, I played on the desk at school. You played on the desk.
Okay.
But what was my first?
Bass?
No, my first was piano.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my second, I'm embarrassed about it, but my second.
Clarinet.
Close.
Saxophone?
Flute. Yeah. Why you say it like that, bro? Why you say it like that?
Because that instrument is hard too.
No. But why you? No, but listen, man. We're friends. Why you say it like that?
I was just asking, like, how did you jump?
And it was crazy because, I'm out of shape now, but I was muscular, right? So I'm in school with muscular. And I got the short shirt, and I got the flute, and then all the ladies, because there was no other dude playing the flute. It was all other ladies.
How did you cope with the ladies, though?
Well,
play the flute. Maybe that's why you dropped it.
But so anyway, so my point is going back to high school. So I'm trying to play basketball, and I'm doing all the sports. I was second in the city in 100-meter.
Wow.
I'm Jamaican.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
Sorry.
And so one year we win everything. I'm killing, and athlete of the year is this skinny dude named Barry O'Shea, right? And I mean, I still remember it. I mean, that was 30 years ago, and I still remember this skinny guy who got athlete of the year when I was supposed to get it.
Wow.
And it pissed me off. I was angry. And even to this day, that was the first time I noticed it. But even to this day, when somebody tells me I can't do something, it takes me back to that Barry O'Shea. And I'm angry, and I get hyper-focused, right? I get hyper-focused. Like, you told me I can't do it? I'm going to double show you. So I see that in you, but there had to be one person, a teacher or somebody or family member that said, "No, Demola, this is not the right thing to do. You need to go continue in your studies."
I don't want to.
You don't want to call them out?
I'm not going to call them out because that's not my style.
Yeah.
But it's not a family member. It was when I joined the orchestra, when I got drafted into the orchestra. That was a life-turning moment for me. I faced, because I was like I said, I was fresh. I was new.
How old were you again?
I was like around when I picked up the violin, I was 14 plus. So, and then they did not, first of all, I was not popular. I was a fresh kid. I was not from rich home. I was poor. I was confident.
Confident or cocky?
Not cocky. I was confident.
Okay.
Now, I was very respectful, but I was also hot-blooded. And when I say hot-blooded, hot-headed. Like, I respect you, but do not insult me and insult me. Like, oh, you don't have a good jacket. I'm like, I cannot afford this kind of jacket, but at least it's black and it's clean. Well, you gotta have to sit behind. I'm like, who are you to tell me to sit behind? Your orchestra man knows me to sit here. Like, I'm a senior player like that. You don't know me. I'm like, I respect you, but you cannot. You asked me to sit here. Stand up and go back. Those kind of things that happen. I'm sorry, but happen in Africa where people can just older people can talk to you anyhow, and because they've been somewhere, they don't know who you are, and they just want to treat you. I grew up in the hood. You have to stand up for yourself. So I was getting in fights. I have to win the fight. You know, like, I'm like, I'll beat you quickly. That's the kind of person I am. Like, but I'm like, okay, I'll keep it cool. And my mentor was also there. So he knew the kind of person that I am, that, hey, Demola would get upset and he would get in a fight. If you hit him, he hits you back and he's ready to take it up quickly. Right. And it was not a good temperament, but you cannot blame somebody who spent all of his life in the ghetto trying to defend everything. Everything I've had, I had to fight for it. You know, and then I eventually come into an orchestra or come to a gig, and you tell me that I cannot play when you're not. You're the one who's telling me, like, a lot of players like that, and and one of them was one of the top leaders of it. He would tell me, you cannot play the violin. You don't sound like everybody. You're different. You do not. Why are you playing so charismatically? Why are you not so sitting down like everybody playing? You know, your tone is different. You have to blend in with everyone. And that's how I knew that if 50 violinists play and I play, I sound different.
Yes.
That was the first time I knew. So I had to start telling, like, later I had a mentor and I was like, why is it that everybody sounds the same or similar, and when I play, I sound different? It's like, well, it's your uniqueness. Stick to it.
Wow.
And so this guy, I'm not going to say his name, but over time, when I did not stop and I became really very good, became an ally.
Oh, you switched it.
And you
switched it on.
Like, you know, when people say that they can't knock you down, after a while, and they say that, oh, this person is defiant, he's going to continue doing. And I had a good heart. And when I had something that was dope and everything, I would say, hey, listen, I make reference to, you know, all of the top guys who, you know, I would say paved the way, you know, who were doing it before even me came in. And they were like, oh, he speaks good about you and you and you. Demola just said something about you. And they were like, oh, that's something that we don't find in the industry. And this young cat is talking like this about us. Let's begin to reevaluate how we treat him. I was never treated right. Every gig, everybody was trying to kick me out because I was shining and they didn't like the way I was playing.
Yeah.
I was easily spotted out of the way I was playing because I was good.
Yeah.
And somebody cannot play something, I keep quiet and they say, oh, can you try it? And I try it and I get it because I spend hours practicing that stuff.
Yeah, but
and they
people
start
don't
getting
like
mad.
that. People don't like that.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know.
No, they don't.
It's true. It's true. And I didn't also, part of this, my fault too was I did not also, because being an orchestra is different from, you know, so sometimes I'm like, when they say play, instead of me to say, I know, I'm like, okay. And I play with all my soul. And they just give me the solo part. And they be like, you less than 2 years and you're taking the solo part over, you know, and that was how it started. And that was one of the things that made me say, you know, this violin, I'll play this thing and prove every single one of you in this orchestra wrong. I'm going to come all the way from the back seat and I'm going to sit in the front seat, you know, and cheer matters in orchestra. You know, I'm like, I'm going to be a solo violinist, not just playing in orchestra. I'm going to be playing solos. Y'all are going to, I said in one particular, the one guy was like, I'm going to play a solo violin in this same capital of the city and all of you are going to back me up.
Wow. I
was so mad and I said that. And it happened less than 2 years later.
Wow. What?
In Abuja. But I don't want to go into. Okay. I don't want to call names, but
I know you don't.
Nobody knows them though. I'm sorry, but I'm not trying to throw shade. Nobody knows them now.
Right. You don't want to call names, but you're keeping receipts. You're keeping receipts.
I keep the receipts.
You keep the receipts because that, you know, every step you make, you know that, you know, in some ways, we remember it, and we're not angry. We're not angry about it, but they helped our journey because if they did not doubt us, then we may not have achieved what we achieved. You know what I mean?
True.
What's your so this is something I ask to everybody. What's your superpower? Like if you had to pick one, you can't say, you know, like I ask people this, what's your superpower? And they're like, I'm on time. Like you know, or the other one I hear from people is like, you know, I never give up. Like, that's not a superpower. Like, yes, you never give up, but what's your special thing that no one else has?
I don't know about no one else.
No. It has to be something that you think is intrinsic to who you are, and it's a thing that you do the best, and is like it's your superpower.
Are you talking about when you say superpower? Are you talking about my attributes? That one of my major attributes that I really pushed me this far. Is that what you?
Yeah, say? Something that is enabled you to be successful.
Let me ask you that question back and see what you say. So what's your own superpower?
So my superpower is actually when you were at our gala. I don't know if you remember. My dad was there, and they brought him up.
I remember.
Yeah, he looks just like me. He looks just like me.
Yeah, your dad is like.
Yeah, he's like looking in the mirror.
Oh,
and
yeah, right.
they brought him on stage the next day, and they said, "What is Moo's special thing?" And he said determination. But so I think for me it's relentlessness. So I feel like I'm never the best. I'm never the strongest. I'm never the fastest. But I will stay up for 8 days. I will, whatever it takes. If you tell me to do this thing, I got to cut my leg off, I'm going to cut my arm off, my leg off. I just feel like for me, I never. And there's nobody that can work harder than me in my mind. So that's my superpower, because that's what I go to when things get difficult. When I go through to that, I can outwork anybody. So some
may say even stubborn.
I'm stubborn, but that stubbornness I think is more relentless.
It's part of
because I won't sacrifice. Like the thing I love about you, you said you set a goal, and it was, honestly, it was a ridiculous goal. What were you thinking? You know how many kids grow up? It was not a goal that you should have achieved, but you knew in your head you could do it. And so that, for me, that stubbornness is what I think. I'm hoping that's what you mean.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I'm not trying to copy what you're saying.
Okay,
but I see a lot of similarities in us.
Okay.
One thing I was gonna say, focus. Mine is focus. Once I set my mind on one thing, or two things, or three things that I'm gonna do this, I set timelines for myself, and I do not rest until I get those things. Another thing is figuring out solutions for problems. And that was one of the things that made me go into medical research. Before I left my PhD program, early first semester, I'm like, I'm out. I'm coming back though, but I'm out. I know they say something in my language, problem no they ever finish. In my own journey, I've always had problems from beginning of. And my problem, growing up hard and tough, like we have, listen, there's no water. Let's figure out where we get water. I'm looking for where we can get water relentlessly until we find water. And once I find a place like this water, that's a solution. I'm happy. That's like my own, chip on my shoulder. Boom. That's my own, that's your trophy. You won that. So I've solved one problem of mine. I have more problems, but at least I've solved that. My own, like you say, superpower, as I was going to say, focus on everything. Like it's me focusing on one thing or two things and saying this is my goal, and nothing, I'm telling you, nothing can take my eyes off it. When I say I'm going to get this thing, if it's something that is within my power, if it's something that's within my, something that I can control. Until date in my life, part of the reasons why I've, grown in my career and everything is because I confront challenges every single time, and I'm figuring out ways because the challenges are on my way to my goal. And so because I'm so focused on it, I'm like, okay, this is a problem, let's solve it out of the way. So that focus is it. And that's part of the reasons why I don't think I would ever, because I love this thing.
You love it, I can tell.
I love it. It's not even a passion. It's I was telling one time on long time ago, one of my girlfriend I was dating there was like, you have so much passion in this. I'm like, it's beyond passion. It's my existence. She's like, it can't be your existence. I'm like, no, it flows in my blood. It's like if you take my blood out right now, it's music that is in my blood. It's like, that's all you want to do? That's all you focus on? That's all you think, making music, practicing and making beats and composing music? And I'm like, it's not like that's all I do. It's just that I cannot do without it. Even when I'm sleeping, my brain is on that wire. And so that super focus is what I have. Dedication and focus to that one thing. And I keep going to solve that problem until I get, I don't have a violin poem. First gig I did, only 6 people came. Okay, I want to make sure I fill this place the next time. Next time it was 15 people. Okay, I want to double that. Next time it was 30. Now we're doing 5,000 capacities.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the end goal is shutting down stadiums. And it will happen.
Oh, well, it's absolutely going to happen.
I'll give everything for that to happen. And that's where that focus has been. And it's something I close my eyes and see.
Yeah.
Even when I'm dreaming, I'm saying it.
Who's the most famous artist that you've worked with, played with?
When I was a musician or as an artist right now?
I would say in general.
Because when I was a musician, I think Beyonce did some stuff when I initially started, and then I was one of those youngest that they pulled in to play for her back home, and and she's.
Yeah,
she's not
I think she's pretty famous.
I think that's as big. That's as big as it gets, really.
Then I didn't know she was going to be this. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's
also out of Houston. Yeah,
yeah, and also out of Houston. But she's always been unique. That was who I would say is the biggest I've played for. Dead.
Wow.
But as an artist, a solo artist myself, I'm looking forward to collaborating with her in the future, and I'm speaking into existence because I love not just her music, but I love her work ethic.
Yeah,
and the way she approaches the art is very different.
Yes. You decided to. So for people who don't know, you've been doing our gala. You've supported our foundation where we take care of people. We take care of people for free.
You guys are doing an amazing job.
We go out to communities.
Awesome job.
What? I'm just curious because we caught you at the beginning, but you were on the rise. Mm-hmm. Why did you take the time out to do that? Because you knew the cause. And at the end of the day, I feel like you love playing, so you're going to play. Someone says, hey, come play for me, or you send us something. But there was something else.
And this is not because you're my friend, and this is not because I'm here, and it's not because you're going to feed me after this. I'm just going to tell you, bro. Yeah. When you sent me a DM and I read your DM, I felt a brotherhood.
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt a brotherhood. And one thing about me is when somebody is my friends, my close friends will tell you, my friends will tell you, not even the ones that are very close to me, but the ones who know me, is like, when somebody is my friend, the person is my friend.
Yes.
I don't care whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm supporting your stuff so long as it's a good cause. And what you guys are doing is exemplary. What you guys are doing is great. What you guys are doing is dope. I just knew about Vituity when we were talking, right? I only knew about the foundation. And I'm like, is the foundation, they do this? Okay. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. But besides everyone, like, it's you, I was looking forward to meeting you.
No,
because you send me like DM and be like, yo, bro, man, this is fire. I'll be like, this guy. And then sometimes it's like, yo, and I'm like, I like this dude. Like, I was talking to my manager. I'm a manager. Tyson is one of your huge fans. He likes you a lot. Tyson's like, man. I remember when I met the first time, I didn't even know your name. When the first time I was gonna do how he was like, oh no, you have to pronounce it well, bro. And I'm like, you never really talk about people like this. He's like, oh no, the guy's amazing. The guy is great. And I'm like, yeah, I know he is. And so sometimes, it doesn't matter, not just Vituity, it doesn't matter whatever you do, I'm going to support because you're my friend. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate
that. And then now to say that you're doing this, and now it's like, oh yeah, I'm not saying it because I'm here. Like anybody I've had friends that for 15 years of my life, 20 years of my life, and I still have their numbers.
Yeah.
They can pick up their phone and talk to me like they've been talking to me before. It doesn't matter whether I'm doing the shows, I know this person and I'm an artist. Nah.
I think what it boils down to, we talk about this too in the partnership. Like, I think what it boils down to is when you feel, and you hate to be like philosophical or religious or whatever, but you can feel somebody's energy. I believe that. Like, and and that's the thing. Like, the way I do like you too. I don't tell people my goals. Like even writing, even as a writer, nobody in this company knew. No one in the partnership knew I was a writer. They didn't know. And one day I released a book. Like, it was like over the weekend, and they were like,
really?
You have a book out? I'm like, yeah, I have a book out. And I just did it myself because when I started pitching it to people, then I had to get somebody to believe in me and all that other stuff. So I did. I just put it out. And it's funny, this book that's coming out now. I was with Magic Johnson. At an event where I was going to interview him. Mm-hmm. And he came and talked to me, and he's like, hey, same like us. He said, hey, Moo, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm telling about the company. And he said, no. He said, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm a writer. And he said, what are you writing about? And I told him what I'm writing about. And he said, that story needs to be told. And he ended up writing the foreword on my book.
Oh, that's awesome, bro. I need to really give me some. Okay, don't give me. I'm buying it.
So
no. I'm buying it.
We already.
Really?
Come on, man. Here you go. That's you.
Okay.
Yeah. Signed copy.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, that's a signed.
You want me to unbox it?
Yeah, unbox it, man. So yeah, little yeah, man.
It's my name. This is interesting.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So
less than 1%. How disruptors defy the odds. This is interesting. This is
so I think I signed it in there for you.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
Yeah. So
you want me to read what you wrote out to people?
I mean,
Demola, you are a star. I appreciate you and your impact on Vituity Cares and the world. Keep shining, my brother. Yeah. This is a brotherhood, man. I appreciate this. It means a lot, bro. So, you know what I'm saying?
But you
missed one thing, though.
Yes.
You were supposed to add super. You're a superstar. You're supposed to add it. I added myself up there. I'm playing.
You know how in school you put the arrow? You put the arrow and the teacher put super? Yeah, I'm playing. I joke a lot, right? So you're a disruptor. So I talk about in the book, I talk about disruptors. You're a disruptor, right? You actually talked about disrupting the orchestra. You disrupted the orchestra.
I changed many things.
The purpose of an orchestra is for everybody to play the same. And what you did is you disrupted it. You said, you know what? I know what an orchestra is. I know what you chose me to do, but I'm going to play differently. I'm going to play within the rules, but you're going to know. You said it. You're going to know that you are in the thing, and that is you're a disruptor.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I should have known that and put it in the book.
Yeah, because man, you're taking me back to those times, man. I faced a lot of. I don't want to say a lot of stuff right here, but maybe some other time.
Yeah.
Some other time. But the thing is, it was not just easy, but it was also like a battle inside of me. When you have to question yourself, like, why am I different from everybody?
Yes.
Like, why do I have to, like, everyone does not like something that I'm doing? Like, why do they don't like, is it they don't like me or they don't like what I'm doing? And I'm just making stuff better. And it's not like I'm going away from the book that we're playing. It's just that my sound. So I'm really trying hard to sound like everyone. And I felt like something was wrong with me. At that point, it was a turning moment for me. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stop this instrument and go play another instrument. Something was like, no. So I got a gig where they was like, oh, do you have a string quartet? I was like, I do have a string quartet. So I formed my string quartet and I took them. And we played for a wine and jazz festival. And I'd never seen that happen before. Even the person who booked said, as from today, every time we're having this, you're going to be my first call. It's like your string quartet, every single person who came there came. Because I would play, beside classical music and jazz music, I started playing our African music, our Afrobeats, not the new Afrobeat, but the old Afrobeats and all of that, high life. And I had my own approach to it that was different. So everybody who came there, we exhausted our card, our business card. The person who booked me started acting as our manager. It's like, you know what? Everyone has to call me now because everything was different. And you know what? He was like, you know what? I'm going to give you a chance. We're not supposed to play on stage.
Yeah.
He asked us to come play on stage, me with a microphone. And that was one thing that I was like, at that moment, I still remember Wine and Jazz Festival in Lagos. That was that moment I was like, I'm not going to stop playing this stuff. Because I was like, I'm just going to play for a little bit. After I'm done with college, I'll just focus on my sciences. I'll change an instrument. Everyone does not like what I'm doing. Maybe there's something I'm doing wrong. Maybe I'm not just meant to play in the orchestra. Truly, I was not meant to play in the orchestra. I was meant to be an artist like I've always wanted to be.
Wow. So one of the things I talk about is that incremental improvement, right? So you want to be better. So people want to be better. Like everybody in society want more money, right? So I always say, you're trying to get better than everybody else is getting better, so you don't get worse.
True.
And that might get you here or here. But that's what everybody in the orchestra was doing. You were pursuing greatness. You weren't worrying about getting better faster than everybody getting better. You were playing your own tune.
My own tune.
And that means you're a disruptor. That means you're a creative. And that means you're pursuing greatness. And that's what, Jordan, that's what I'm trying to talk to people about, is that pursuing greatness is not the same as being successful. They're two different things. You can pursue greatness and still nobody knows your name, right? Nobody knows your name. You didn't care.
I didn't care.
You know, even now, I mean, you're popping off. You're getting to the point. You're playing with different people. I get that, but never in your mind were you thinking, I want to get here. I want to get here. Your thing is just so far out there, and that's I think the difference. You know, pursuing greatness versus just focus on being successful. I love it. Okay, so you know that on this show we end up calling somebody. So you got to pick somebody to call. And then we're gonna find out.
Am I gonna call or you're gonna call?
No, you're gonna call. We got a whole setup here. You got to put the earphones on.
Okay.
You got to put the earphones on so you can hear them. I know we got this set up, and then I'll get on and answer the question. Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it. It's ringing. Dicey, what's popping?
Sir, what's good, brother?
I'm good. We're on the podcast right now, and one of the things they do on the podcast is
I knew you were going to call me, by the way. Just know that I knew you were going to call me.
Okay, cool.
What's up, my brother? How you doing?
Wow, how are you, sir?
Good. So we embarrassing him right now, and
I love it.
So what we do on the show is we talk. Of course, we over here vibing, and one of the things that I ask on the show is what your superpower is. And so, he told us what his superpower is, and we talked about it, went back and forth. But then we have to validate it. So we're calling close, friends, family, whoever, and we're trying to ask you, what do you think is super? And you can't text him, by the way.
I'm not texting.
Don't be over there texting.
This is on my head.
No texting.
So what do you think his superpower is?
So, if I'm honest, he has a couple superpowers.
Okay.
A couple.
Okay.
However, I tell you his overarching superpower is his sonic abilities. He has, music, sound is really his superpower. It's the overarching superpower. And then there are kind of next level superpowers that, he has this innate notion, this innate ability to know what the next move is, what the next move should be. He can kind of read a room. He can almost read the planet, if you will. Right? So those are the two that I think. I'm curious to know what he said his superpower was.
Before you,
why are you looking at me?
No.
Your friend on the phone. Why are you looking at me?
Hold on. I asked you what's your superpower, so I answered to that, right? So yeah. I asked Mo what his superpower is. Now hear Mo say, what is your own superpower? Answer him, and then see what he's gonna say afterwards.
Yeah. So my superpower is relentlessness. Like, I feel like I'm never the smartest, I'm never the fastest, I'm never the, but nobody can match my work ethic, my intensity. Once I pick a goal, once I pick a spot that I feel like I want to go to in life, I feel like there's no one that can stop me. And I get angry when people think they can stop me, and it motivates me even more. So that's yeah.
Okay, so
you guys share that superpower, brother.
There it is.
You guys share that superpower for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was when he asked me the question.
That was your answer.
That was not my answer, but I said the same thing that you just said. I said we share the same thing. And then I went forward to say, now hearing that, what he said, what do you think is my superpower? Because, now that you see the direction he's going.
Well, I mean, I guess it's clearer to me that, one of your superpowers then that I didn't mention is he will outwork anyone.
Don't say that to me.
Hey, man, we already played ping pong, and he gave me a little whooping, so I'm a little sore.
Yeah. So I know that, he, and I've always believed this, and I always knew it to be true. Like, listen, talent, as it relates to, being an artist, is only a very small part of the equation. It's good, but with I will tell you, the very thing you said, Mao, is the work ethic and this ability to outwork everyone else. I'm there before everyone arrives, and I'm the last to leave. That's him.
Man, that's
for sure
inspirational. I told him, I said, man, in 2020 when I rolled up in his DMs, you know, I'm like a fanboy rolling up in his DMs. I said that we connect. I feel like, you know, like I believe in spirits and essence and all that, and I think that connection there, that work ethic, you know, it's, you know, who has that when you connect with people.
You do.
Yeah.
Okay. You do. And I think
you did a good job.
Point, that you're drawn to these people. Yeah. This is what's beautiful in life, right? Yeah. Is that we're drawn to the very energies and we attract it.
Yes, sir.
This is is the beauty of all of it.
Yeah, so, actually, you just made me. You told me that if you say the same thing I said, I'm gonna get $1 million. So, bro, you said. I told him, I'm like, yo, we'll share the same thing, we share whatever. But you know, I'm very laser focused. I'm very super focused on something. Yes. And once I set my mind on something, this is what I'm gonna do. I do not stop until I get it. I'm gonna do everything and all of that. So, I mean, what you said is very close to it. Yeah. You know, your first answer was basically, you know, me as an artist, you know, and, you know, by the time you heard him, you actually said, you know, a lot of other stuff. So we are poor now. We don't have $1 million because you did not say
That's okay. But the million is already in the air. Okay, Millionaire Tyson. Let's go.
But thank you for.
Hey, appreciate you, man.
I was like, man, if I call him, I hope it's not Davenport. Yeah.
No, listen. I kid you not. So when I was communicating, some of our your messaging and we're going back and forth with your team now. I knew, we may call someone. I said, that's interesting. That may is going to be me. So I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I was sitting here and I thought to myself, I said, I wonder how the podcast is going. I said, I'm not going to interrupt. I'm not going to text or anything like that. And then phone rings. Yeah. And it's him. Yeah. And I know he's recording right now, so I thought for sure I'm the May.
You are the May.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you so much. And
appreciate you, man.
Of course, always. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much. All right. Talk to you
welcome. Bye-bye.
Later. Bye. Yeah, that's fire. That's great.
He's a good conversationalist too.
Yeah.
He's very good.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes I'll be like, I need to switch positions with you. I need to get you interviewed. He's like, oh no, I don't like the camera. No, I don't like the camera. I don't want to be the spotlight. I'm like, you're a good conversationalist. Sometimes I feel like I want you to have someone talk to you. Yeah. And then you talk about your experiences, working with me, working with other people, how it has been, But back to us.
Yeah. So, what is 2025? What do we need to look for? What do people watching the show, listening to the podcast, where do they need to see you? What's the best place to find you?
All over social media, Demola Violinist. Facebook, Demola Violinist. Do not get scammed. There are a lot of fake pages, thousands of them every day have been opened. So be careful. Demola Violinist, blue check. 1.7 million followers. I have a lot of posts, so do not get deceived. Same thing with TikTok, 1.6 million. Demola, I'm not verified. I don't know what TikTok is doing. I think you should call TikTok. You're the boss, man. Tell them to verify my ass, Instagram, over 800,000 followers. I mean, I'm saying these numbers not because of being cocky, but just so that you can, because a lot of pages, as soon as you type my name, you would see pop. Right. And a lot of people have been scammed of their money.
Yeah.
So you got to have to look at the numbers, look at the blue check, look at the posts to be sure that, okay, this is the page I'm following, And of course, my Spotify, my Instagram, my Twitter, my YouTube page, Demola, Demola, So these are places you can find my music. You can see what I'm doing next. This year, 2025 is going to be bigger, better. I'm going to be doing more tours this year. Yeah. My tours, more cities this year. My tour, I'm actually going to be working and supporting some prominent Grammy Award winners and legends in the game in this industry. I'm not going to say their names now. I'll tell you behind the scene, but their tours, I'm going to be supporting them while I'm also doing my headlining tour this year. So, it's great. I'm looking forward to hitting the road and touring. This year, I'm going to be releasing like at least 2 or 3 albums out.
Well, listen, you need to let them know. If you go to, I personally, I use them. I'm an Apple person. So I go to the iTunes store and you type in your name and it's like 757 albums. This dude, hey, listen, this dude, he's putting out albums. So I downloaded a bunch of them, but I couldn't afford to download all of them. But
CEO, you couldn't afford, bro.
But I will tell people, download the last one. And the reason I like the last one is because of all the original music. I love the covers. Don't get me wrong. I love the covers, but
the one in a million album.
Your Afro beats. Playing the violin with the Afro beats. That's different. And right now, Afro beats is popping.
It's a pop right now.
So pop right now. So check him out. Also please check out Less Than 1%, the book.
No, for real. You know what? I'm not even gonna say what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna take my time and read the book. I'm gonna read it in your voice. And I'm reading it. I'm gonna be while I'm flying back. I'm gonna be reading it. I'll be hearing your voice talking about it. So Demola. So what's up? But, but it's interesting. I'm just knowing that you're a writer.
Yeah.
It's actually very refreshing for me. It's a refreshing approach to our friendship. For me to be able to go back and see the other part of it.
And that's the thing that hopefully that people get out of this. For me, the idea of being a creative is very different, and people don't understand that. I was gonna joke with you. Do you know what the first career I thought I was gonna do when I'm in high school? So I'm in high school, 14, like you. What's that?
You're gonna be an athlete.
No. Close. I did.
You said you were really good.
Half, 50%. The other 50%. What was I going to be?
Now you say you're a writer. I'm thinking in the arts field.
Okay, so think that direction.
Lawyer.
I was going to be a rapper.
Yeah.
So I was going to play basketball, and I was going to rap. And so now, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm going to send you a beat.
I feel like where we are.
Collab.
Yeah, we should collab.
I'm going to send you a beat, right though. Yeah. See, when I'm done reading this book, I'm going to send you a beat and I'm going to say rights to it.
Right. So, but it's interesting. Sciences, structure, right? So medicine, you win sciences, and then the creative. And I think that they actually fight each other, right? You think that to be a physician, I shouldn't be a creative, right? It should be structured. I should be, don't challenge, right?
Don't challenge it.
Don't challenge.
You're going to challenge it. You got to have these and these.
Right. Don't play differently than the orchestra. Right. So there's all these different things that I think being creatives, being disruptors, that's where I think, we're connected. We're connected. So I appreciate you. I know it's a lot of time to come down here or up here. And, I'm so grateful.
I don't like snow. I'm playing.
I know. Hey, listen. I
was like, okay. This is the first time. Okay, this is the second time I'm seeing Dallas snow. I've been in Dallas when it snows. This is the second time.
First time? My first time seeing snow in Dallas.
Really? Right?
Yeah.
How long have you been in Dallas?
Well, I live in Austin. I live in Austin. So we don't see snow there.
No.
Not like 2020 was like
2020
was the year, but I wasn't here yet.
Everything froze.
Yeah,
yeah.
We had like those Houston ice on the street, people not drive. You know how it is compared to the East Coast. Like it's normal for them.
Right.
Everything shut down, power grid.
Yeah.
It's
well,
crazy.
I appreciate you, and I know I thank you for the time. I thank you for sharing a little bit of your story with us. I think it resonates. It resonates with me. I know it'll resonate with other people. And, I know that although you don't share even the big goals that I know, you shared the one goal you had before, but I know there's bigger goals in there. Yeah. And I know you're not necessarily sharing it with everybody, but I can anticipate where it's going. So we We are fully supportive. Jordan,
I'll always be back. I'll be like, you know what? You see what I just did? That was part of my goal. So I have this next goal. I'll always be back. You know, this is. I like what you're doing. Yeah. It's very informative. It's very inspirational. It's very. I didn't
appreciate you.
When you told me, oh yeah, I was doing a podcast. I didn't know it was going to be like this. You know, I don't understand. When you were going all, telling me again about it, I was like, this man is serious. Like he just said it the last time, like he was joking. Now he's taking this stuff serious. I'm like, this makes sense. I like the fact that this is not always about who you sitting there. Let's also talk about him. He's very vision oriented and he just goes for what he wants and he wants to get it. That thing. And it makes sense because every time we have to do something, Tyson is always on my neck. Retweet this. I'm like, bro, I got them. Don't worry. He's like, no, like they don't let me rest. I'm like, and I you know what? It was like, I'm like, I like it. So it makes me go back and be like, it's not just like every other person, which that's how I felt from onset. But it kind of makes me see like the work ethic from the top.
Yes.
Is funneling down to every single person, and it speaks a lot of your character. It speaks a lot about you. I appreciate that. And the man behind the scene who is not trying to be in a camera, I'm gonna.
No, he's on. He got a camera.
Oh, you got a camera? I'm looking at you.
Your camera's right there.
No, he's talking about your camera.
Oh yeah, I got one.
Yeah, he's on there. He's on there.
Cool. Yo, when I put the headphones in my ear, I love the sound. I was gonna say, oof. Tyson was talking like I could hear it even when it was ringing. I was like, I like the sound. I don't know how you did it, but
we got the little hookup. We think it's something special to be able to. Not a lot of people. I actually saw one other podcast. They do it, and the whole podcast is actually them calling people.
Oh, okay.
They don't have anybody, but I haven't seen a podcast where they end up calling family members. And I think the setup that the setup he got is amazing,
genius, bro.
Yeah. All right, appreciate you.
Thank you,
man.
Now it's time to go eat.
Yes, let's go eat
food.
Oh man, that's great.
Thank you for the book, bro.
Yeah, man.